My name is Jihan Gearon. I live in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I work out of a satellite office for the Indigenous Environmental Network. And I'm originally from Fort Defiance, Arizona, which is on the eastern side of the Navajo Reservation. I work as the Native Energy Organizer. So I work in the Energy and Climate Change Program to support and connect grassroots communities who are working or on different environmental justice struggles around energy. So I could be supporting communities working on coal-fired power plants, nuclear waste storage, oil refineries, new projects and then also a lot of new projects that are being proposed around energy expansions across the U.S. and also Canada. Throughout North America, it actually isn't common knowledge, but a lot of indigenous communities are targeted for different environmental problems, hazardous waste facilities. And so what I do is to support those communities and then also connect them through a network. All the way from Alaska, all the way down to the Gulf Coast in the United States. Indigenous communities are being targeted and living with the environmental and health and cultural impacts of fossil fuel-based economies and fossil fuel developments. So my job is to support those people, the grassroots communities on the ground who are stepping up as leaders in their communities to find better solutions for their communities, who are pushing things like renewable energy, just transition and green economies as an alternative to what we've been stuck with for the past 50 years, which is tribal nations and communities that are dependent on the selling of their natural resources, which has left a whole history of devastation in our communities, including a lot of health impacts. Since we have so many hazardous facilities in our communities that are not being taken care of, a lot of people have various forms of cancer and respiratory ailments and skin ailments, and children have developmental problems. And besides that, there's also the environmental issues, which includes, like uranium tailings that have never been cleaned up, and water, groundwater that has been used up or is being contaminated. It involves natural land that's been blasted off or dug out to get access to resources and then are never able to recuperate themselves again. So it's leaving us with a bunch of dead land. And so in my role, I recognize that there are people in the communities who are doing the work and who should be at the decision-making table. And what I do is try and support them in whatever way that I can. And that could include doing research for them, creating a type of fact sheet, trying to find them some funds, but then also networking them with each other so that they know that they're not alone and that there's people, other Native people all around North America who are in the same situation as they are, and that they can work with each other to build strength so that we're all talking together with one voice for a better future. On the Navajo Reservation, which is the biggest reservation in the United States, it's about the size of West Virginia. And the reason that I mention that, also because we have one of the largest populations as a tribe, is because we really set precedent for a lot of other tribes and reservations around different policies and how things are implemented on the reservation. Back in the 50s, we really started to develop our resources, and that is mostly coal. So we have a lot of coal mining on the reservation. We have coal-fired power plants on the reservation. We also had a history of uranium mining on our reservation too, although recently our president has banned uranium mining. And then we also have oil and gas development on our reservation. And we also had, before that, it was our forest that we were cutting down. That was the first thing that we did. And I guess one of the main effects is that it gridlocks our economy, which makes it, we're reliant on these destructive industries for an economy, for income, for our tribal government. And so we've been kind of stuck there for a long time. And then also, it's caused a lot of issues in the environment. An issue that a lot of people I think know about now is around the Black Mesa mine, which is towards the middle of the reservation. That's a pretty famous example because the community was able to shut down that mine along with help from allies. What was happening is that the Navajo Aquifer, which is the sole source of drinking water in that region, was being used to being pumped out to mix with coal to pipe it away to the Mojave Generating Station in Laughlin, Nevada. And so the community was able to organize around the issue of water because the water was being contaminated and people were noticing that, the springs were drying up and their wells were getting much lower. And so the community was able to organize around protection of water and were able to shut down, with allies, the Mojave Generating Station, which then shut down the Black Mesa mine. And then now we're dealing with a lot of the coal miners and workers that had been displaced because that mine was shut down. And so we've taken that next step of trying to come up with a new way to retrain those workers and to develop renewable and solar energy in that region of the Navajo Nation. So it's a really positive thing that's happening now. So I grew up, I think, a way a lot of people on Navajo Reservation grow up. Also near me, where I grew up was on the eastern side of the reservation, so on the very eastern border, like 30 minutes away from the actual reservation boundary. And all along, right on the other side of that, is another big coal pit. On your way to Gallup, New Mexico, which is like the big town that's near us. And so my uncle worked there, my other uncle worked there, like everybody's family members works in, not everybody's, but mostly everyone has at least an uncle or a cousin or a brother or whatever who works in the coal mine. And so then I kind of grew up just thinking it was normal, like a normal part of, like almost a part of like a Navajo culture was coal mining, like the same way fried bread is part of Indian culture now, even though it wasn't traditionally. And I think when I left and I went to college, I was just curious to see like what other kinds of energy there was or what other things that could be done. And that's how I started getting into the work, is because I was really interested in like, oh wow, look at these like solar panels, and oh wow, look at these wind turbines, and look at how you can design your house that you don't need to use all of this energy and be so wasteful. And then you go into the next step of, wow, back in the day, our hogans, which is our traditional style of home, had all those things already, and the way that we farmed and, we didn't eat at McDonald's and Burger King and all that kind of stuff. We were sustaining ourselves a long time ago in a much better way than we are now. And so that's kind of the things that we're working for now. Not to say that I think we should all go back to like living the way we used to, without electricity, without running water, because people want those things, and I think that that's okay. But I also think that there's a better way to live, and that we have that knowledge within Indigenous cultures, that we can incorporate new technologies and new things into the way we live, but still do it in like a respectful and a sustainable way.